pleasure to welcome all of you to this important conference of India-GCC Business Conference, which is being organized by FICCI in collaboration with the GCC countries at the Dubai Expo 2020 in the India Pavilion. It is my great pleasure to welcome all our Indian friends and friends from GCC countries. We are sorry to keep you waiting for a little while as we were just preparing ourselves to start this program. May I request the co-chair to please come? Without much ado, I would like to start this program by inviting Mr. Vikramjit Singh Sahni, who is the chair of the FICCI India Arab Council and a very senior member of National Executive Committee of FICCI, chairman of Sun International, who has been awarded the highest civilian award by the President of India, the Padma Shri. May I request Mr. Sahni to please come on stage and deliver his welcome address. Mr. Sahni, please.
Thank you, Gautam. Mr. Vipul, the Joint Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs in charge of Gulf, Government of India. Mr. Abdullah Al-Basha Al-Naomi, Commercial Attaché to the India, Embassy of UAE. Honorable Heads of Missions of India and GCC countries present in the meeting today. Ma'am Harjinder Kaur Talwar, Member National Board of MSME and former President FICCI Ladies Organization. Mr. Dilip Chunaya, Secretary General. Manish Singhal, Gunvina Chadda, the CEO of India Pavilion, and Mr. Gautam, Director. I take this opportunity to welcome all of you at this very important business conference between India and GCC. And we are greatly honored to have, we'll shortly listen, Mr. Vipul, our Joint Secretary Gulf, MEA, Government of India. We also have with us several high-profile dignitaries from GCC countries who will enlighten us with their perspective on the emerging business and economic opportunities between India and GCC countries. We also have the privilege today to hear from Mr. Abdullah Al-Basha Al-Naomi, Commercial Attaché to India, UAE. And we have received best wishes for the success of this interaction from Mr. Al-Bana, the UAE Ambassador to India. So dear friends, as you know, the current trade between India and GCC is almost touching $90 billion, which speaks for itself the importance of this region which holds for India. And two of the India's top 5 trading partners are in the Gulf, and GCC accounts for almost 34% of India's oil imports, and especially Qatar in particular is dominant supplier of natural gas, and I also happen to be the strategic advisor to QP and Muntajat in Qatar, apart from being the member of the India-UAE Joint Working Group. And it's also very heartening to note that India and UAE are negotiating the free trade agreement, which should pave way for the unleashing the trade and investment potential and should extend to other GCC countries. Regarding the FDI from GCC to India in last about decade has been to the tune of $15 billion. And in return, Indian companies have also major investments in these countries and have over many generations contributed to the country of their residence of origin. We have largest, Indian diaspora here. And among the FDIs, we have really seen the Abu Dhabi ADIA, the Saudi Sovereign Fund, the Qatar. All these countries are looking at India's infrastructure. Many corporations have invested. We have big investments from MR, DP World, and so on and so forth by both sovereign funds and private sectors. This entire region provides an immense opportunity for investment partnerships in renewable energy, health sector post-COVID, pharma, IT, and of course startups, because India Pavilion is also giving a special emphasis on startups, and you know we have more than 100 unicorns startup in India. Also, India have placed immense importance on promoting its extended neighborhood policy by strengthening strategic cooperation with the GCC as a region. It has become more comprehensive, and it is moving beyond the oil energy dominating trade with India to defense, maritime cooperation, strategic oil reserves like Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, ADNOC, have already put strategic oil reserves in India. Aramco is investing big time now from Saudi Arabia. Joint oil exploration projects, and also, as I have already mentioned, healthcare, medical, education, space research, and also skilling. We have been addressing the cooperation in skilling because there's a big demographic dividend in India, and of course GCC requires critical skills for social and economic development. The recent economic diversification drive in GCC countries have created an even greater acceleration of engagement with India. We see immense opportunities for Indian businesses to reignite this economic engagement with this region, and we are confident that it will go a long way, not only realizing Indian goal of becoming, as the Prime Minister have said, 5 trillion economy, but also help diversify the Gulf economies in a close neighborhood. And we see immense opportunities for building business technology corridors between India and GCC. Likewise, rise of engagement of women entrepreneurship between India and GCC, giving altogether new direction of partnerships. That's why we have dedicated a special session on the women cooperation. Also, in the terms of project, there is a talk of now the gas pipeline between Oman and India, and there are hundreds of projects which are being discussed. So this will really unleash. India has already so many joint ventures and investments. So I think the sky is the limit to unleash this potential. It is in this context that we are here gathered this afternoon to discuss and understand the framework of direction of cooperation, collaborations, a win-win kind of engagements in both G2G as well as private sector, and elevate our strategic interest to greater heights. So with this, I congratulate and thank all the from all the GCC countries to share their thoughts this afternoon. I wish a very engaging session this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was in the spirit of tone of discussions on business today. Now we move on to the opening session, and in this we have a galaxy of speakers from all the GCC countries, from UAE to Kuwait. To start with, I call upon Mr. Nasser Al-Akhil, the Vice President, Strategic Partnerships and Government Affairs, National Companies Promotion Program, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, to have his remarks.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having us. I just want to correct it. Mr. Al-Aqil, he isn't here. This is the other VP, the handsome VP, Faisal Shloui, the youngest one. It's a pleasure to come here. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you for making our life and work easy, because gathering all this distinguished guests and this intelligent people here is going to make my life much easier. Let me introduce myself. My name is Faisal Shloui. I'm the head of Investment Opportunity Development from Ministry of Investment. We work on separate programs that help our companies to achieve one main objective of Saudi Arabia, the new Vision 2020, 2030s, and the new investment strategy, which enables our leading and champions company to go abroad and invest outside Saudi Arabia. As you know, Saudi Arabia now is open for all companies, all countries to come and invest in Saudi Arabia, to have their headquarters in Saudi Arabia. So if our promising company cannot invest, cannot compete with their advantage, competitive advantage outside Saudi Arabia, they're not going to be able to invest inside Saudi Arabia. So in that why we have these programs, the national companies promotion programs that help our companies to go outside. How we do that is we work with entities like Invest India's, which is our counterpart in India, or other promotion companies and in foreign countries. We work with them to allocate and find the investment opportunities for our companies to facilitate and establish, existing and footprint in these countries. Of course, in Saudi Arabia we don't work alone. That's why we have our partners from different Saudi government entities, like the Strategic Relationship in Saudi Arabia, Ministry of Commerce, ourselves, Ministry of Investment. We help also to bring, Ministry of Investment help to bring also the foreign investors to Saudi Arabia, and that's why we need to cooperate with all the nice peoples here, like from Saudi Arabia and from our friend in GCC and from India, to make our life easier. How the way we work there is we allocate the investment opportunity from the promotion agency. We work with them to develop it, make it facility easy, what kind of incentive we can get from the promotion agency, allocate the private sector in this country to cooperate and invest together, either in this country or outside Saudi Arabia or the other countries, like maybe UAE or even the region's countries. It's just want to say it's a pleasure to be here. I'm very glad that you invite me here, and I hope that I can talk with every one of you if you have the time. And also, if you have the time to come after this event to our pavilion, you're going to meet all my colleagues in the promotion agencies from the Ministry of Investment, and we have the different sectors. They can promote you the different sectors. We know that India's, like, they have a competitive advantage in the energies, in the IT. They have the soft capitals, the manpowers there, the good mindset. That's what my company is looking for, and that's why they want to increase and invest in India. Thank you very much for the time, and I'm sure I was short because I'm short and to the point. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir. May I now move on to UAE, Ms. Hind Al-Wa, Director of Investment and Talent Attraction Department. Is she here? Okay.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mohammed El Bloushi. I'll be providing the opening remarks on behalf of Hind Al-Yuha. Unfortunately, she couldn't attend because of unfortunate health matters. First of all, good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the GCC India Business Conference in the UAE, especially as the UAE and India, two close allies, continue talks on comprehensive economic partnership agreement. The ties binding the UAE and India go back to historic times, and today the two countries are bound by distinguished strategic partnership that spans various industries and sectors and includes partnerships that spans partnership with a number of bilateral and multilateral agreements. Still, we are constantly working on further improving them in line with the changing global economic realities and both countries' ambitious development visions. Therefore, it's no surprise that the value of the UAE-India trade reached 77 billion United Arab Dirhams in 2021, reflecting a whopping 70% growth compared to the same period in 2020. Meanwhile, in 2020, the value of non-oil trade between the UAE and India amounted to 103 billion dirhams, including non-oil exports worth of 20 million, re-exports worth 22.3 billion dirhams, and imports worth 60.5 dirhams. The UAE is one of India's most important global trading partners, as it is the third largest source market for India imports globally, with a nearly of 7% contribution. Besides, in terms of investments, India FDI in the UAE stood with 8 billion US dollars by the end of 2019, accounting more than 6% of total foreign direct investment in the UAE, ranking second globally in this regard. The third receiving UAE exports, accounting for 8% of UAE total export to the world. As the UAE adapts to increasingly complex and fast-changing environment by strengthening global trade ties and building in our role as a leading business center and global economic hub, we attach a lot of importance to strengthening our ties with India. Ladies and gentlemen, the region's economic basis was fairly diversified before the discovery of oil in the 50s, and few years ago the UAE leadership put a spotlight back on diversification, capitalization on infrastructure and today the government continues to effort to transition to a knowledge-based economy by encouraging innovation and strengthening regulatory sectors. In fact, several achievements have already been accomplished in this regard, thanks to the UAE's firm resolve and invest in new innovative sectors and areas such as advanced technology, space, and future. The pandemic impact only accelerated the transition and added new dimensions to the UAE transition to a flexible, sustainable economic model. Relying on large financial capabilities, abundant oil reserve, advanced infrastructure, we are capitalizing our existing strengths to strengthen the pillars of the economy, such as national growth, enhance FDI attraction, the circular economy, the Islamic economy and UAE growth strategy, and the national talent attraction are all an indicator of the features of the economic future that we envision. Ladies and gentlemen, the recent amendments on commercial company laws in the UAE seen a big step forward in developing the country investment environment. It allows foreign companies and investors to have 100% ownership of their projects in all economic sectors, with the exception of some countries with strategic impact. From that, there was a need of citizen agent to sponsor the foreign company wishing to carry out its activities in the UAE. In addition to boosting investor confidence, these key amendments are to encourage foreign companies to open more branches and representative offices in the country. In the process, they will also reinforce the UAE regional and international position as an attractive destination for investments and trade, highlighting our commitment to provide and ensure an excellent environment for doing business. I'm glad to add that we have started seeing the results already, as the total value FDI inflows took to the UAE grew to reach $151 billion in 2020, reflecting it's 151 billion US dollars 2020 and in 2019 it was 131 billion dollars, reflecting a 15.2% growth. The UAE advanced 9 positions to rank 15th globally in 2020. Meanwhile, in terms of FDI outflows, the UAE advanced 6 ranks to the rank 13th globally in the same year. To summarize, it's a very exciting time to be here in UAE with you all, especially if you are an investor and entrepreneur looking to expand our footprint in the region. The UAE business environment is ready ready to support you in every way possible, be the legislative or regulatory side, or be in terms of infrastructure and facilities available. Against this backdrop, I urge more and more Indian business and ventures to explore the benefit for the opportunities in our market and contribute to shape the future of the UAE-India ties. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing that UAE perspective. May I now request Mr. Badr Ali, Regional Director, MENA and Asia, Investment Organization, Bahrain, EDB. Mr. Badr Ali.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Badr Ali and I represent the Economic Development Board from Bahrain. It's definitely a great pleasure and it's a great opportunity to be present here and speak our beloved country and our relation with the Indian business communities. The Economic Development Board has been established and initiated by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and the Prime Minister of Bahrain back in the early days of 2000 in an objective to diversify the economy of Bahrain. We have worked on the attraction of a lot of investments and have succeeded in bringing and establishing very strong relation with various companies across the globe. Our FDI attraction is concentrated on several sectors that an objective to diversify the economy from the oil. Our sectors goes around the manufacturing, the logistics, hospitality and tourism, real estate, financial services, which is the primary sector in Bahrain that Bahrain is very well known for, and it has a global relation and reputation about this. In addition to the new digital economy has affected all the countries globally, and Bahrain has taken a lot of strides in attracting companies and establishing a very strong infrastructure. Of course, the Indian relationship with Bahrain goes a very long time ago and have been established across several years, whether from financial perspective, trading, real estate, manufacturing. In addition to the government tie-ups and strong relationship with the Indian government, have enhanced the ecosystem and the business platform to welcome a lot of companies from India to Bahrain. Nowadays, we have companies operating in the financial sector, in the manufacturing, as I mentioned, have been able to expand their business and grow in relationship with the government itself, or also having the opportunity in the private sector in Bahrain. The Economic Development Board have been working on a lot of initiatives as well. Our relation with the government entities or the business communities has been well established based on introducing the right opportunity at the right time for every entity. Now, this has also enhanced our ability by establishing our own offices at several regions in the Asian market, in the European and the US market. Recently, in the last 3 years, the Economic Development Board has been able to attract over $3 billion worth of direct investment, of to which our Mondelez in Bahrain have established a 250,000 square meter size of mega factory in Bahrain. So all the Oreo cookies you might see now, whenever you buy it, just flip it and you'll see that probably it's made in Bahrain, all the way to 17 countries. The other success I would like to mention here is the establishment of the headquarters of Amazon's Web Services in Bahrain. This has enhanced the position of Bahrain and the interest of companies in the digital, cybersecurity and data sectors to consider Bahrain for a hub or opening an office that would somehow give access and expand from Bahrain to the rest of the GCC. The Economic Development Board, how does it work? In simple context, we represent the government and multiple stakeholders. So if any investor would have any interest to explore the Bahrain business landscape, there is one-stop shop entity that is fully supported and funded by the government that would be your consultant in the country to explore the business community, to understand the business requirements, the cost, the operation, anything that deemed necessary to the interest of your company. And we are equipped with a lot of data, a strong team, in addition to forming a Team Bahrain concept that has enabled as well to extend support to any investor in relation to any government entity that is deemed necessary in terms of licensing, cooperation, or discussion to facilitate a smooth understanding and wide dealing with any entity in Bahrain itself. So it would be definitely our pleasure to have further discussion with any member who's present here or any of your close friends that you may recommend or suggest to enable them, to equip them, and also support them in consider Bahrain or understanding what's in Bahrain. Obviously, the objective is not to have a short-term relationship. Ours is long-term. We have been dealing with Indian companies for the past 10 years, and some of them just lately have decided to have a presence in Bahrain. However, our relationship goes to over 10 years. This just reflects the objective, is we look at long-term relationships. Our relationship is extremely vital with any entity globally. The business always comes once the right opportunity is created. Thank you very much. I'll be more than happy to answer any question and provide any further information should you require now or at the end of the session. Thank you very much. And I would like again to thank the hosts for giving us this opportunity to be present here, to represent our country, and have accessibility to the wide attendees. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ali. I think that was a very, very inspiring address. May I now request Engineer Abdul Basit Al Aji from Qatar to share his perspective, please. Mr. Aji.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Would like to start, that's my pleasure actually, and privilege to be with you today to participate in this event. India and GCC, I will start, if my brothers from GCC countries will allow me, I will talk about the historical relationship and economic relationship among the 6 countries. This relationship, which have evolved over the years since the longest history, started with the cultural changes, migration and population movements, as well as trade. So the GCC orientation towards improvement of connection with the Indian and engaged partnerships on solid economic foundation, promising prospects will open and renewed, planted by partners and grandparents in the area before even the oil has been discovered. Ladies and gentlemen, Indian GCC partnership is important, especially when GCC are heading towards a transition to a knowledge-based economy, which is the basis for GCC economic development and major engine of sustainable development. Concerning Qatar-Indian partnership, there is a deep relationship between the 2 countries and involved day after day, and extend the different sectors and benefits for both countries. The trade relation between the 2 countries are increasing. Indian is one of the most important partners for the state of Qatar. In terms of exporting and importing, our records shows that the volume of trade between the 2 countries increased by 21% in 2019 to reach now about $10.5 billion, compared with the 8.5 billion in 2016. Of course, as my friend mentioned, the majority is oil and gas. Please allow me as well me take this opportunity to brief you about the economic strategy of Qatar and about our perspectives and vision. Over the past 10 years, Qatar has witnessed major positive changes in the socio-economic structures, and it has developed fully modernized economic trends and outlooks on, to ensure sustained and rapid economic growth. Through the dynamic and applicable economic strategy, which is based mainly in the diversification and trade liberalization. Several legislations and amendments and modifications were decided recently to improve the performance of our economic sectors as to co-op with the presently adopted international investment criteria. Although we have announced the latest investment law, which allow 100% ownership in most of the, if I can say, in all of the sectors, which our friends from India, they can really take the serious matter of this and study the local market of Qatar. Here, I will stop just my speech for some time. You have mentioned QP. Recently, QB became QE. Changing one letter, it means changing of major strategy and vision. So it became Qatar Petroleum. The country is almost fully engaged in a complete process of renovation. This situation features an aspects of our rapid preparation to interact with the requirements of the new era. A special attention was given to develop and improve the infrastructure facilities of the country. Qatar acquired all basic elements needed to attract host and employ various foreign investment. We look to enhance opportunities for the cooperation and increase investment in fields as well. These fields can be in the infrastructure, energy, industry, information technology mainly. We know that our friends in India, they are on ahead of information technology, and human resource development between Arab states and India, and also work together to benefit from successful Indian experience and consolidation of a small and medium scale industrial business, mainly again in the technology leveling up between the countries. In conclusion, we hope that a deliberation of this conference and what they will be coming by an exchange of experience and professional connections will elaborate many opportunities for cooperation, and I leave you to determine these opportunities and draw roadmap for the implementation. From our side, for more details about the investment law and investment sectors, my colleague from the delegation team, she will give more details on this, and for any further information or connections, you can by side just have a time to discuss this with my delegation. Thank you a lot, and wish you a pleasant and successful event. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Abdul Basit, for giving us that elaborate description how Qatar would like to engage with us. I would now like to turn on to Madam Hora Al-Wahibi, the Director of Investment Promotion, Director of Investment Promotion, Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion, Oman. I welcome Madam Hora on the stage.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, esteemed attendees. First, I would like to thank the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry for inviting us to be part of India-GCC Business Conference. And a big thank also for the Indian Pavilion for hosting this conference. It is our great pleasure actually to join this event. Speaking personally, I must say that I have keen interest in India and the possibilities this extraordinary continent offers. Well, at the beginning, I would like to invite all of you to visit Oman Pavilion here in Expo 2020 Dubai.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Oman is the gateway to the Gulf, on the doorstep not just of India, but also of new, large and affluent markets across Asia and Africa, as you well know. Oman is a great and reliable trading partner, but on top of that, our location means we are an exceptional springboard to a host of regional possibilities in logistics, renewable energy, information and communication technology, fisheries, and manufacturing. Areas where you are world leaders and leaders in quality and excellence. And today, we have the opportunity to not only build upon and strengthen this special relationship, but also to come together and meet the challenges of the future. Attracting and retaining inward investment is hugely important to our economy. We want Oman to be a place where business can grow, succeed, and thrive. And we want it to be a place where great ideas and innovations are turned into a great products and services. In fact, a key objective for Oman is to bring to the attention of the international business community the vast investment opportunities Oman offers, its exceptional potential in sectors including, but of course not limited to, technology, manufacturing, fisheries, and logistics. But beyond the rich possibilities of these sectors, an undoubted part of the Sultanate's FDI appeal are the measures taken to create Oman's attractive business and investment landscape. Our current FDIs in Oman is about, by end of 2020, was 40 billion US dollars. And actually, India is one or the main source of FDIs in Oman. Adding to this is the Sultanate's portfolio of newly introduced business-friendly regulations covering foreign investment, public-private partnership, insolvency, and commercial companies, something I strongly believe is said to be a major factor bringing further investment to Oman's shores. Oman is offering investors 100% foreign ownership, quick and straightforward to set up. No, we have no foreign exchange control, no personal income tax, regional competitive wages and business costs, and we are offering competitive utility rates. And the new extended residency program up to 10 years for all foreign investors. Oman is proud to offer you certainty and stability, access to a flexible and well-educated workforce. We are proud to have eliminate unnecessary red tape and regulation, not to mention the outstanding support our government offers to business or robust economic development and our regional and international free trade agreements. I'm here today to tell you that we welcome Indian interest and involvement in our major investment projects, that we want to help you take advantage of the array of investment. And recently, we announced more than 50 investment opportunities in manufacturing, and we would like to receive Indian interest on these investment opportunities. And we will have our campaign during Expo. It will be during this month for announcing 100 investment opportunities in manufacturing. And we would like to receive Indian companies. In this regard, I encourage you to make contact with us so we can work together to refund existing links and build a new partnership to realize shared ambitious. Working together, we can seize on the opportunities for mutual growth and help support each other's business communities right across the economy. It is in both our interest to strengthen commercial ties to maximize the benefits of partnership and shared expertise in a variety of fields. To conclude, let me say how much I look forward to working with you all as we enhance our commercial ties and explore new business bonds in the near future. And I would like to thank you again for the Indian Pavilion to host this event, and I will be available here, and my team also is here from Ministry of Commerce, our colleagues also from Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry, also company of Oman Fisheries Company, one of the leading company in fisheries in Oman, and our also we have a lady from the marketing. She's entrepreneur in a marketing company, and it would be our pleasure to answer any question that you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Wahibi. May I now move on to Madam Bashar Al Usaimi from the Kuwait Investment Promotion Authority. She is the Head of Projects Evaluation and Incentives Granting Section. She joins us virtually from Kuwait. On the screen, please.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. Just wanted to check if sound and video is okay before I proceed. Looks like it is okay. All right, perfect. Thank you very much for having us join this business conference, as it is an honor to do so. As introduced, my name is Bashar Al Usaimi, representing Kuwait Direct Investment Promotion Authority, also known as KDIPA. I think this is an amazing opportunity in being able to identify the investment opportunities in Kuwait as well as within the GCC region. And able to identify such business opportunities in Kuwait, I'd like to introduce KDIPA, the vision of KDIPA, and the role KDIPA takes on. Now, KDIPA is considered to be one of the major economic implementing arms of Kuwait, and it takes on multiple roles in order to do so. Those roles are such as developmental, promotional, regulatory, and as well as advocacy. In order to be able to achieve or to attract added value and innovative investment in Kuwait, in order to be able to diversify the economy, in order to be able to as well as achieve foster sustainability, KDIPA has granted the opportunity for investors to be able to establish their own entities in Kuwait, and the entire state of Kuwait owning up to 100% of shares. In addition to that, certain incentives have also been granted, such as exemption from income tax, as well as the exemption from custom duties, and in the near future, inshallah, the allocation of land for certain activities in certain sectors. All of that is to ensure added value investments to be invested in Kuwait. The entire state as well as all sectors and almost all available for all investment. One of the major roles that KDIPA takes very seriously is facilitating and ensuring the ease of doing business in Kuwait. And so therefore, on behalf of the investor, KDIPA takes on all governmental procedures, all general inquiries that is intended for government entities from investors, as well as any type of license that is required. KDIPA does that on behalf of the investor. Again, all of this is to ensure the ease of business and to facilitate procedures as the max as we could possibly do. Now, working hand in hand with Kuwait's Vision 2035 and transferring Kuwait into an investment hub, today we have all of the sectors that have huge mega opportunities. Such sectors, if we can look at, that we'd like to focus on or maybe mention during this conference, we can take a look at the renewable energy. Mega projects are available for investors worldwide. We have sectors such as the healthcare, the education, as well as environmental services. So this is basically a brief overall about what KDIPA does, what huge roles we take on in promoting and attracting investors to come and invest in Kuwait during those times. I hope it's provided a brief understanding of our role. And I thank you again one more time for having us over. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, madam, to come on screen and explain to us briefly how KDIPA works. Before I move forward, may I take the opportunity to recognize the presence of our Consulate General of India, Dr. Aman Puri, who is here with us today. We have Mr. Ram Ramachandran from Tech Mahindra. We have Pawan Kumar from Berger Paints and Madam Harjinder Kaur from Comvision, who we will be having an opportunity to hear as we move forward. May I now move on and request Mr. Vipul, the Joint Secretary Gulf in the Ministry of External Affairs, to please address us for his opening remarks. He is joining us virtually from our headquarters in New Delhi. Mr. Vipul, please.
Well, thank you, and let me also begin by thanking Mr. Vikramjit Singh Sahni, Padma Shri, Chair of FICCI India Arab Council, as well as Mr. Siddiq Ahmed, Co-Chair of the Council, for organizing this India-GCC Business Conference. I'm also very happy to see participation of several distinguished officials and business people from across the GCC, as well as recognize the presence of our Consul General, my colleague, Dr. Aman Puri. As you know, I'm standing in for Secretary CPB and OIA, Mr. Sanjay Bhattacharya, who for some reason is unable to attend this event today. I think it's a good coincidence that this event is taking place on the eve of visit of GCC Secretary General, His Excellency Dr. Falal Najraf, to India tomorrow, during which he will hold ministerial level consultations on different aspects of India's relations with the GCC. I don't think I need to impress upon the importance of our relations with the GCC, which are truly special given their span, both in terms of history and breadth of sectors in which we cooperate. I think my previous speakers have touched upon several aspects of these. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, we have seen tremendous growth in these relations with all GCC countries. He himself has visited almost all GCC countries as Prime Minister, and at ministerial levels also, we have a very intense engagement with all the GCC countries. Suffice to say that even in the last 1 year, during the extraordinary times of the COVID pandemic, our External Affairs Minister has paid visits to UAE, Bahrain, Qatar as well as Kuwait. And we have also hosted the foreign ministers of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, and Kingdom of Bahrain in India during the last few months. And at a virtual level and with the phone calls, the top leadership of our country has been in constant touch with the top leadership of the GCC countries. We have had excellent cooperation with the GCC countries during the COVID pandemic. They've taken exceptional care of the 8.5 million strong Indian community living in the region. And this also cuts across at different levels. We have had air bubble arrangements negotiated with almost all the GCC countries. That has also helped in many Indians traveling back and to keep in touch with nationals of all countries traveling back and forth. Now, given that this is a business conference and time is short, let me quickly touch upon the trade and investment side of our relations, which is also very, very important. Trade has been a historic pillar of India's relations with the GCC. We all know that. With the COVID situation easing in India and the excellent rate of COVID vaccinations both in India and in the Gulf countries, our hope certainly is that we will continue to revert to the pre-pandemic levels of travel and business activity between our countries. Our annual trade before the pandemic was in the range of US dollars 110 billion. And this was the largest with any regional grouping for India. And UAE and Saudi Arabia, of course, among the two of the countries among the top 5 of our trading partners. Now, while the trade figures last year were impacted, they were in the range of about $90 billion. This year, we have already seen a jump in the trade figures in the first 5 months of the Indian financial year. These were about $50 billion. And we are pretty sure that in no time, if the COVID situation remains in control, they should start exceeding earlier levels as well. And in this regard, initiatives like the India-UAE SEPA negotiations should also be very, very helpful. We are also looking at significant uptake in investments from GCC countries into India. The Indian market is big and the growth prospects are enormous. Besides, significant steps have been taken by Government of India in the past few years to improve the business environment, including by easing FDI limits in different sectors, including sectors more critical like defense, telecom, insurance, and many other sectors. Any problems or issues faced by investors are today given immediate attention with a positive intent to resolve them at the earliest. The changes brought about by Government of India should continue to propel more investments into India. Some of the estimates have suggested that in 2025, India should be attracting FDI of up to $120 to $160 billion annually. And I feel that Gulf countries are best placed to use this significant opportunity given the way our relationship is and our cultural connect. GCC also continues to remain an important partner for India for our energy security and will remain so. Almost 1/3 of our oil imports and 2/3 of our gas imports come from the GCC region. And the fact that we have moved forward from a simple buyer-seller relationship to a more comprehensive energy relationship with several GCC countries is very widely appreciated in India. Human resource is also important, and we are very happy to see contribution that Indian workers, professionals, and business people continue to make in our relations with the GCC countries. Now, as we move forward, I think we need to continuously see as to how to evolve our areas of cooperation and what new platforms might be needed. And therefore, in that context, for example, the idea of business technology corridors that you're going to contemplate about will be very important. I also think that the theme of Expo itself provides a very good model in terms of how to think about how we move forward in terms of our cooperation further, which is to look into different areas and sectors which come under sustainability, mobility, and opportunity. Essentially, I see these areas as the new high technology and sustainable technology areas, including renewable energy, solar or hydrogen or other sources of energy, where there is a very significant opportunity. Our Prime Minister, for example, announced that India would be doing about 500 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030, which would be a very big opportunity for all countries. Or other technological areas electric vehicles, fintech, where India has tech or medical technology, to the traditional areas, which also include the continuously think as to how we can move forward. And in these emerging areas, many of the Indian startups are working. There are startups working in the GCC countries. And I think we need to think as to how we can increase this collaboration, which will give great opportunities to our private sectors. In this context, India can give, of course, a very highly talented workforce, a large market, and also a lot of focus on predictability in the business environment. Similarly, GCC countries have their own advantages. They can use their nimbleness, focus on innovation, and their financial power to create win-win businesses. On government side, I think what I said in terms of predictability in business environment, I think I can only assure the fact that there will be continuous strengthening of India-GCC relations, and that would provide a very good enabling environment for our businesses to succeed. I think with those remarks, let me stop here and convey my best wishes to everyone present and for happy deliberations, good deliberations today evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vipulji. Thank you very much for that address. We now move on to the technical sessions. The session 1, opportunities of building business technology corridors between India and GCC. We have speakers from India and GCC countries. We have Mr. Ram Ramachandran, Vice President, Senior Vice President and Head Middle East and Africa from Tech Mahindra, Mr. Pawan Kumar, General Manager, Berger Paints Emirates Limited, and from the GCC we have Abhi Chan, Vice President Business Development, Qatar Financial Center, Mr. Kalim Muhammad Al Yaqubi from Haril Integrated Oman, and Mr. Faisal Al Shalawi, CFA, Head of Investment Opportunities Development of NCCP. May I now request Mr. Ram Ramachandran to come over and give his address.
Thank you, Mr. Gautam. Your Excellencies, distinguished dignitaries, Your Excellency, Council General Dr. Puri, visiting guests, dear friends, thank you so much for hosting this important event. And what makes it even special for people like us is the importance that has been given to the topic called technology. Just to break the monotony, if I can have some show of hands, so a few years back, people used to say business drives technology. We from the technology side believe it's reversing. We feel that technology is driving business. How many of us in this room believe that technology drives business? 50%? That's a good number. Actually, nearly every hand went up. A second question here. We believe technology can create multiple billion-dollar economies and multiple trillion-dollar economies. Again, a show of hands. How many of us believe that technology can create trillion-dollar economies? Well, that spells it all, right? And the topic is so apt, right? Opportunities of business technology corridors between the GCC and India, right? India has been lucky in many forms, right? We were a little early to adopt technology. We had the strength of engineering colleges and excellent education system. And with that, as the Y2K boom came in, the mainframe exited, came this whole economy that revolved around knowledge, and India did capitalize on that. And what you see, many of the Indian IT companies and the company that I represent, Tech Mahindra, are offshoots of that opportunity or the window of opportunity that we got. Tech Mahindra, some of you would be aware, we are part of the $25 billion Mahindra Group. Tech Mahindra is about $5.5 billion in size. We operate in about 90 countries globally. And again, sometimes when we talk to folks here in the GCC, we say we are a well-kept secret in GCC. I don't know how many of you know that, but we are about 2,000 employees here in GCC. We are 700 employees in UAE with 3 offices, 2 in Dubai, 1 in Abu Dhabi. We are 1,100 employees in Saudi Arabia with offices in Riyadh, Khobar, and Jeddah. We are 200 employees in Qatar. And QFC is a major endorser, sir. We see that QFC is also here. And we are about 200 employees in Oman, right? Now, why I share this number is not to accentuate the fact that we are doing well, but thank you for the opportunity that the region has provided, many of us from India, to come and be part of this new economy and the knowledge economy that is getting created out here. The opportunities are many, and all of us understand that the industry is at a huge inflection point, right? There is a demand for knowledge-based software. There's a demand for knowledge-based solution, and the industry is an integral part of it, right? Padma Shri Vikramjit Singh did allude to the diverse industries, and now one of the new industries, which were the hard industries, right? Oil and gas, construction, retail, and here comes the new boy or the new kid in the block called technology, which is also finding its fold. And just like a new kid, when it comes into the forum, there are many uncertainties that surround it, and I think adoption of technology and understanding of technology and inclusion in a forum like this is relatively new. So I think we have still some work and some space to cover. And I think through a forum like this, through a joint cooperation between the industry bodies of the various GCC countries, India, the consulate, I think we can go a long way in terms of what we want to do. Many of you spoke about some of these sectors, but we believe that by the intrinsic nature of the market, there are certain sectors which can establish a very distinguished position. Oil and gas, the region is known for developing in oil and gas, but we are not known for developing software on oil and gas, right? And why not when the region produces the largest oil and gas in the world? So we believe that there is fundamental opportunity to create R&D centers through collaboration between Indian IT organizations like ourselves and the various entities, and ensure that we do a lot of work. Travel, transportation, and logistics. Again, we believe that the region has created a super specialized hub for itself. Dubai is a star example, and so are many other airlines that the region provides for. Saudi has a unique position for itself. The creation of new smart cities that are coming up. We keep on hearing of the Red Sea program, the creation of NEOM as a city. Qatar has FIFA coming up, and so on and so forth. So there's huge opportunities around smart cities, smart infrastructure, IoT-led, which is, artificial intelligence, blockchain-led technologies and solutions in many of the offerings, that are getting provided in the market out there. There are other sectors which are more emerging in nature. Healthcare, pervasive healthcare is an issue and a problem with every country. And, we are integral to many of the initiatives. In fact, for example, we are part of the Ministry of Health initiative, along with General GE in Saudi Arabia as the healthcare programs get rolled out. So we believe that there is huge opportunities that Indian companies and Indian IT companies provide in terms of medical technologies, medical aid, which can be brought into regions like this. Mobility, cybersecurity, cloud, and I can go on and on that. Since we have a limited 5-minute slot, I thought, we have the opportunity of having the esteemed audience here. There are a couple of areas which we request, your excellencies to take note of, and if that can be eased, it could be a great impetus to this knowledge economy that we want to create and the actual fructification of this corridor, so as to say. For any corridor to function properly, there has to be free flow of trade and the free flow of knowledge between the two sides. We believe that there is an opportunity to relax some of the visa norms in some of the countries. I think Dubai has taken a first front in terms of, say, the 10-year visas which have come or the 5-year visas. But if a special visa scheme can be created for the tech and the knowledge workers, I think it can go a long, long way in terms of the cross-pollination of business on both the sides, which can be a 3 to 5 year type of a visa tenure. The second thing which is important, which the onus lies on us, is the localization factor. We know that giving back to society is a critical part of any of the initiatives that Mahindra Group takes, and especially that what Tech Mahindra takes. Just to give you an example, we are 50% Sauditized in Saudi Arabia, right? We are 80% Omanized in Oman out of the 200 employees. So as we go and create our hubs in many of these countries, we want to establish a knowledge economy that is self-sustaining. The region has very unique advantages also, right? The region is flush with young talent, right? 80% of the population is in the 18 to 65 year bracket, right? And 40% of the population is in the 18 to 35 year bracket, right? And talent and technology talent emerges from that bracket. So we believe that there is a huge opportunity for us to establish our knowledge centers in many of the regions. In fact, most of the centers and the countries where we are incubating talent, we are focusing on that. Last but not the least, but I think Mr. Sanjay did allude to that, is, and I think Dr. Puri in one of our dinners had alluded that India right now is producing, I think, 3 unicorns a month, right? I think the number you gave was 31 when we met last month. And isn't it a great opportunity? Unicorns need money, they need cash, and I think the region has got a lot to provide for the startup ecosystem that is also emerging from India. I was very surprised to learn that some of the new unicorns that have gone actually have been funded by the lot of the Middle East organizations. So we believe that there is a unique opportunity to create a sort of a cooperative arrangement between the two, or the country states, and in a very, I would say, an administrative-led manner. If that can be enabled for the startup ecosystem, then we can joint co-create IPs, which sort of co-originate from GCC and India, and that can be taken to the rest of the world. Once again, thank you so much, Mr. Gautam, for inviting us. Thank you so much, Vicky, for hosting us, and look forward to being in touch with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ram. That was a fantastic, perspective. I will now move on to the Qatar Financial Center and hear from Mr. Abi Chan, Vice President Business Development, on his perspective. Mr. Abi Chan.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As introduced, I'm Abby Chan, Vice President, Business Development at the Qatar Financial Center. This topic is about technology. But first of all, I would like to show, by show of hand, how many of you flew in for the Expo? Yep, and all of you are here physically present for this event. So this shows that being physically present is still very important for business. So this is why it is important for those of you who are interested to explore Qatar as a market to be physically present in Qatar. And I'm gonna share with you why. Countries in the Gulf region have historic, business, diplomatic, and cultural ties with India, which has the potential to be further diversified and developed, especially in light of the expected growth prospects in the post-pandemic environment. During the pandemic, as you know, many countries have locked down, shut down, and we're all so used to zooming around in our room that we sometimes forgot that face-to-face meetings are very important. And we see firsthand the growth of Indian businesses in the Gulf region and of course in Qatar as well. During the pandemic, we have seen twofold, threefold expansion of Indian companies, and in Qatar, there are many digital companies that have set up in Qatar in the digital sector. The pandemic has ushered in a new era of opportunities in Qatar from around the world, especially those from India. Despite the many challenges we have had to grapple with since the pandemic broke out, an array of new opportunities has surfaced, including accelerated digital transformation, paving the way for further innovation in the business sector. The Gulf region is an ideal market for Indian entrepreneurs, investors, and innovators to venture into, considering the wealth of expertise in the key and growing sectors including technology, business, and financial services. In fact, we have just signed an MOU with ICAC in India, so that spells even more opportunities in the financial sector. Countries throughout the Gulf region offer many such opportunities, driven by the digital transformation in the business landscape. And Qatar is a good example, as it has notably turned the pandemic-related turbulences into growth catalyst to advance the realization of its technological and digital transformation strategy. Significant, thank you. Thank you. I'm vertically challenged, you see. Yep. Significant strides have been taken in this regard, contributing to bolstering the nation's ICT ecosystem for both local and international digital companies. Many MNCs have set up in Qatar, including Microsoft, Google, Oracle, etc. So this shows that the big MNCs have confidence in Qatar as a digital economy. Qatar has also one of the highest per capita enterprise IT spending in the MENA region, backed by this digital spending, which is set to reach $9 billion USD by 2024, reflecting a 9% year-on-year growth up to 2023. This heavy investment in the ICT infrastructure does not only take forward Qatar's digital transformation, it also contributes in increasing market size by roughly 40% of its current base. As such, as an emerging non-traditional financial hub, Qatar offers a range of new business expansion and innovation opportunities to companies from around the world, presenting as an ideal gateway for you to use Qatar as a base to expand into the wider MENA region. Through our range of business facilitation opportunities and institutions such as ourselves, Qatar Financial Center, we are making it easier for firms of various magnitudes to foray into our business ecosystems. We are already seeing a surge of Indian companies in the digital sector in Qatar. Some of the ways we make things easier for foreign investors, including, of course, offering 100% foreign ownership, 0% income tax, 0% withholding tax, and even allowing all companies to trade in any currency. There is also no restriction on visas, so you can hire as many foreigners as you wish. So we look forward to welcoming even more Indian companies to come to Qatar and explore what is possible. And some of the industries that we would love to hear from is, for example, legal, tax, consultancies, media, sports, technology, and even real estate. So recently, we have had a new real estate investment law which allows foreigners to invest in real estate in selected areas. So for businesses looking to invest in real estate, this is the time to come to Qatar. So any companies that register with Qatar Financial Center will also enjoy several other benefits and incentives, and I welcome you to have a chat with me afterwards what these incentives are. We are delighted to welcome the most vibrant companies to invest in Qatar and seize the opportunities available here and build bridges to the wider region. If any of you is a football fan, of course you will know that next year we're hosting the World Cup, and in fact, end of this month, we are also hosting F1. And of course in December, the Arab Cup. So as you can see, Qatar is getting very exciting. This is why we are inviting you to visit Qatar, explore what is possible in Qatar, and of course, above all, talk business in Qatar. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. That was quite information about Qatar. Let's move on to Barger Paints Emirates Limited. We have with us Mr. Pavan Kumar, General Manager. I invite him to come on stage and give his perspective. Pavan, please.
Sorry. Thank you, Gautam. Dear Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the members of the Indian diplomatic community, officials of Federation of FICCI. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. So on behalf of Asian Paints, I would like to thank each one of you to giving us the opportunity to present our views on this particular topic. First and foremost, Asian Paints, a little bit about Asian Paints. It's a $3 billion paint company, the third biggest paint company in Asia, the biggest paint company in India. We are present in more with manufacturing facilities in close to 26 countries, serve customers in more than 65 countries. In this part of the world, we are known as Berger Paints because we started our journey around 20 years back, either through we acquired the Berger brand in Bahrain was our first operation, followed up by UAE. This was way back in 2002, 2003 we started. And then we went the greenfield route in Oman. So these three places, we have manufacturing facilities. And in the last 5 years, we built a capacity of close to 150,000 KL, that is 150,000 tons of paint annual capacity. My friend Ram here gave a number of close to 8,000 employees. We are not so big, we are small. Yeah, but we still employ close to 750 people in the Gulf. So with primarily with around 280 in UAE, around 200 plus in Oman. Bahrain is around 150. Qatar operations are smaller operations with around 30 people. And we've initiated our presence in Kuwait. We also serve the markets of Iraq and the other MENA countries from here. The aspects of, in terms of, if we look at, when I looked at this whole area on today's topic, and GCC, if you see a lot of speakers before me have spoken about what GCC holds for a country like India, what is its prime importance for, especially for companies who are coming from India. I think GCC, one, it's close proximity to India. It's like 3 hours by flight, maybe 3 days by cargo. It gives you the best of both the worlds. For a lot of Indian companies, this is like the first international frontier where they can compete against the best of the world. Whether it's any field, whether it's construction, technology, I think Ram had given a lot of in terms of facts about that. So even in construction, even in where you're competing against the best of European companies, the Asian companies, whether it's Chinese, Korean, Japanese, or American companies. So it kind of sets the tempo for Indian companies also to up their games. And I think it also kind of brings in the best of technology. It also adds for Indian companies a new dimension in terms of, like, for example, when they come into this part of the world. In that direction, in terms of, if I look at, there are 3 to 4 areas, if I take the example of how Asian Paints, what we've been able to do in terms of these areas in the last few years, as well as how we are trying to get future ready for the coming decade with a lot of, in terms of development in construction, infrastructure coming up in this part of the world. The first part is, if you look at manufacturing, we always believed in trying to say that you need to localize your manufacturing as far as possible. Always try to set up manufacturing facilities in each of the countries, because so that way, when we started, like for example, when we acquired manufacturing facilities in these 3 countries or built our own plants or we extended our capacity, having a local nuances always helps in a business like this. What it also helps us, that it helps develop the whole ecosystem. Like for example, a paint manufacturer, if you take care, paint also has the raw material suppliers, there is a tin supplier, there is a lot of other players who are who are part of the whole ecosystem. So that is something which kind of, if you look at, so we always used to focus, we always put prime emphasis on saying that how do you go local. It also helps. So, and these developments have been done through a mix of equity and debt through the local financial institutions. So in each of these countries, wherever we would have gone, we would have kind of dialed up on those local financial institutions to raise the capital. Then if you look at in terms of, it helps us also servicing the requirements. Now, we are pretty, in India, it's about scale. we talk about the top 5 manufacturing plants for paint manufacturing plants across the world with installed capacities of 500,000 KL and all. Whereas the requirement in this market was slightly having more manufacturing facilities which are nimble, which are lean, which are modern. You can't go for complete automation because the scale is slightly smaller. So you go for semi-automation. At the same time, cater to the different requirements, paint requirements. So today, like for example, in all these facilities which we have, we can produce different types of coatings. Coatings which are architectural coatings, coatings which go for protective, which is industrial coatings, coatings like for example, we have now started getting into new areas of construction chemicals. Then there are wooden for other different surfaces, like whether it's wood, metal, concrete, any of these surfaces. So, and the quantities, each of them has a certain kind of manufacturing process, certain kind of raw material requirement. Handling these complexities within the small, that kind of adds a new dimension to a company like Asian Paints, which always believed in scale, where because when you go to India, the numbers all go multiplied by 10, by 15, by 50, by 20, by 100. But this aspect of having smaller manufacturing facilities, at the same time catering to the customer requirements, is a dimension which we could add when we came into geographies like this. The second area which I wanted to speak was like a possibility was this area also, since because the environment conditions are different, it's pretty hot. Most of the geographies were very hot. You require, in terms of like for example, you require a certain set of paints in terms of which can withstand the whole heat. You're saying in summer it goes up to 50 degrees, 55 degrees, and paint has to withstand. So it again added, because it again, that means we had to again dwell into our own R&D, both use the facilities both in India as well as build our local expertise here to kind of come out with products and solutions which meet the whole requirement. So that's again, in terms, if you see, that's again, if you look at, and these technology, some of these technologies which we have developed specifically for these markets, we've actually been able to take it back to even to Indian markets also. So it's not, see, generally a lot of times companies like for example which have their parent or the maximum business comes from a particular like Indian company which comes from India, and when they start going outside, like it has to be a symbiotic relationship. Like we are very proud of, in each of the geography where we are, our DNA is very different from our parent organization. We are very proud to be part of that local, the country where we are, because if we don't have that, we also realize that you can't connect to the customer. A customer in UAE is very different from a customer in Oman, is a very different customer from Bahrain, Saudi, Kuwait, everywhere it's different. So for us to build that whole aspect in our own DNA through, because helps us reach out to customer. Now in terms of like for example, if you look at, so there also is opportunity, like as people have spoken before, each of the distinguished guests from the different countries have spoken about the opportunities in different countries. Construction is a lot of countries in GCC, and today construction in terms, and one of the critical requirements of construction is paint. And we also realize that in terms of, we have a decade-long experience in this whole area of construction chemicals and waterproofing in India. We are in fact top 2 players in this whole area. So what why don't we kind of map on some of those expertise which we built and come get the same products, at the same time help us build a better relationship, a better in terms of understanding with the customer. So in the last 1-2 years, we've actually got out this whole range of close to 50 odd products in this whole area of construction chemicals and waterproofing, whether it's adhesives, whether it's concrete repair, whether it is for the membranes, for basement waterproofing, or for roof waterproofing, and all these areas. This again, in terms of again, we could say that we were our base, at least foundation, we could use what was in India. But when we came to this geography again, this geography is a completely different ball game when it came to the area of construction chemicals. This was like here where for the first time we were competing against with the best companies from the US, and from Europe, where the standards, where the code, the building code is based on what is there in Europe or what is there in the American standards. That also gave us an opportunity, so basically to really build on these technologies in this. And some of these products, courtesy these countries where we are, we have been able to take it back to these learnings to India also. And another area in terms of, if we look at this whole area of services, I think this is something which is new. I think people have talked about digital economy. Even in an area like paint or home renovation, if you look at today, a lot of search starts from digitally. Today, if you look at, if I can draw a parallel to India, I think every second customer, his first search starts, how do I paint? Like painters in a particular geography, home renovation experts. Like for example, so the idea was basically, and the whole aspect of service in terms of, like for example, we are in the process of selling paint, but finally the customer gets a painted wall. So that means there are a lot of influencers in between. The influencers play an extremely important role, whether they can be an applicator, he can be a contractor, he can be an architect, he can be an interior designer. How do you build this whole ecosystem together? So that is where the whole role of services come in terms of which very advanced, and India has seen this. They are slightly, maybe in our experience, what has shown, they are at least a decade ahead when it comes to this whole services in this whole area of construction and industry. These geographies are also today all coming up here for companies in terms of how do you differentiate, for example, from one company to other company, is when we are able to get in this best of services, offer it to the customer. So one such service which we were able to launch 2 years, I think pandemic really moved the world. This gave us an opportunity. The customer was at home. He had no avenues to spend his money. The disposable income was still there. When he was spending at home, this also gave us an insight saying that he is spending a lot of his money also on home renovation. But he is looking for safe and safe services. So basically we come out, during that time we came out with a service called Safe Painting Service. So it's just again a requirement in terms of which we had experience in the other geographies, but when we came here we didn't know what to expect. But I think the customer here in the different geographies also had a lot of in terms of interest in those areas, and when that happened, so for example, we were very surprised in terms of, because the whole safe painting service, you have supervision, you help the women of the house who are very critical decision in the whole home renovation process. Ideas, basically we gave her an avenue to basically through a color consultant to try out different colors, finishes, decor finishes, different kind of home decor options, design options, which were kind of presented to the customer. This kind of made us relevant. Now this, in India, if you know, there are a lot of aggregators, companies like LiveSpace and all, which do a lot of, these are again startups, which have today become, again, some of them have become unicorns again, in this whole area of home renovation. Now such opportunities today are there. Now today, as a paint manufacturer, or today somebody who's has a certain expertise in this whole area of color and decor, you're able to take that on. And the last aspect, one is there, the whole fourth aspect which we thought was very relevant. People spoke about human capital and teams. For us also, we realized that people building different cross-cultural teams. For any Indian company, when you come out in a geography like this, having a local essence is extremely critical. Statutory requirement is something which the government forces, saying that so many X percentage of the people have to be locals. But if they have to be completely been integrated in the system, so one of the clear things which we realized is that why don't we approach universities, do internship programs? Done. And then why don't we get this in this aspect? So we actually have started partnership programs in all the geographies which were there with the leading universities, trying to hire local talent so that they actually form fully integrated with our culture. And also this allows us to be future ready for the coming decade. Right. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Pawan. That was quite an elaborate description of how you have been changing lives up here. We now move on to Mr. Kali Muhammad Al Yaqubi. He joins us virtually. from Oman. He is the CEO of Harwil Integrated. On the screen, please.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me clearly?
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be part of this conference today. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to be part of this amazing conference. All the speakers were really informative and enjoyed this session. Actually, I would like to start where my colleague Hawar Al-Wahabi has stopped. Oman has very long relationship with India, and Indian continent been very close to us geographically and also economically. Oman enjoys a very special geographic location on the Arabian Sea. We neighbored with 3 countries, Yemen, Saudi, UAE. And Oman is one of the very unique countries in the world as far as the stability of the economy, stability of political affairs, and the relationships with all the countries. Now, I was asked to speak about the IT or the technology world, the opportunities in Oman. Recently, their laws for foreign investment has been revised, and foreign companies, as my colleague has mentioned earlier, has been very friendly. Now, companies from India can come into Oman and open 100% ownership of their businesses. The demand is sky high now, rocket high for technology solutions, whether it's fintech, whether it's solutions like ERP, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's SME solutions. With COVID-19, we saw a huge growth demand for moving to e-commerce, moving to e-businesses, because that was the pivot I see that happened. The region, Oman is part of this global network. We have a very interesting IT packages for companies who are willing to come into Oman. The demand is growing every day. Myself, I mean, I run one of the CEO of Harwil Integrated, and we have every day inquiries and innovative demands from various sectors, public and private. See that we definitely look for innovative solutions continuously. We have, I believe, I'm also the vice chairman for SME committee in the Oman Chamber of Commerce, and we receive delegations regularly in Oman, and we see that there is a demand for further partnerships to be developed between us and the Indian companies. I think we can do more. Oman is your second home. I think there are more than 20 flights a day from India to Muscat. We welcome all the businessmen from India to visit us, to meet their co-partners, to develop business relationships. You can own your own business. If you want local partners, you can come up with JVs. Oman Chamber of Commerce has got beautiful platform where they're able to give you all the advice that you might need to set up your business, whether it's a branch or whether it's a full-fledged branch, or a company, or whether you want to get into the JVs with others. Obviously, JVs are the faster route to test the market for the newcomers. We have giants like Tata Consultancy and so many others are already in business with us for the past 30 years. I believe Ministry of Commerce and Industry, the investment part, plays very, very crucial role to market the technology vertical, and they are always there to enable our partners to do business in Oman. Please feel free to contact me if you need any support, if you need any advice. My contacts are with the colleagues in Oman in the India Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much again for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yaqubi. I now request Mr. Jayant Bansal from Alfana Group to be on stage and quickly. Sir, please be brief.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will say that I am so honored to be here to speak on this conference. Indian origin guy representing Saudi company and taking this platform in explaining the situation, the opportunities between those countries. Ladies and gentlemen, I would first like to introduce our company Alfanar. Alfanar, if you see, is one of the leading company from Saudi Arabia. You talk about a construction, you talk about technology, you talk about healthcare, we are there. I am proud to say that Alfanar has one of the largest infrastructure manufacturing facility in the region, spanning around 700,000 square meter. Not only this, we are developers in terms of infrastructures, utilities. We are there in oil and gas, and not only we are present in Saudi Arabia, we are also present in Europe countries. Gentlemen and ladies, today we are talking about decarbonization. I'm glad to inform you that Alfanar has already initiated this motive to capture the market. We are already in the verge of going for heavy investment in UK, and coming to India, we are already there. We are there. We have developed 600 megawatt of wind energy in India. So when we talk about manufacturing, we have facilities in Europe, and now we also have a facility in India for wind turbines. Coming to the projects, we are there in water, we are there in wastewater, we are there in waste to energy, we are talking about sustainability fuels. So ladies and gentlemen, Alfanar, we are ready to be a strategic partner. Coming to Saudi Arabia, as you see, in the year 2009, His Excellency has announced that we are going to invest around $100 billion in India. And ladies and gentlemen, the action already started. You see, with the Reliance Energy stake of Saudi Aramco has taken by Saudi Aramco. I'm glad to say that there are more than 500 Indian companies operating in Saudi Arabia. So journey has just started, and you will see the kind of transformation that's going to happen with the new political regime that has come in Saudi Arabia. The change is yet to come and is coming. With the NEOM coming up, with NEOM city, one of the state-of-the-art city that will transform that will be a complete equation of technology and carbon utilization. It will change the world. It will change the thinking that how the country like Saudi Arabia has emerged from such a vast resources to such a high-tech city. So I just thank you, all of you, and to attending this event and giving an opportunity, a small opportunity to talk about a company and a country and that I'm looking for Saudi Arabia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bansal. We now move on to the important and interesting topic of identifying business partnership opportunities between women entrepreneurs. Of organization, and Nada Bassam the CEO, Taisir Platform Oman from Oman. I call upon Ms. Harjinder Kaur Talwar to come on stage.
Thank you. Namaste, Excellencies, dignitaries, the guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Harjinder Kaur Talwar and I am from India. I'm the MD and CEO of ComVision, which is an intelligent transport solutions company. I talk here today in front of you in various capacities of reputed national and international organizations, MSME, India, as Vice President of CSME, as a board member of business women of Israel Indo Women Business Forum, as president of FICI Ladies Organization, the largest chamber of commerce and industry for women in Southeast Asia, and as a woman who aims to ensure women economic empowerment. It is my story that I want to share with you all today. My connect with your part of the world is that my company ComVision has designed and is executing one of the prestigious transport solutions project in this region, the e-toll system for King Fahd Causeway between Saudi Arabia and Bahrain. This solution is deeply integrated with artificial intelligence-based classification and multiple methods of e-payments integrated with ANPR. This project has been done in collaboration with Saudi telecom company STC, known as STC. It is a product which we've done. It's a product made in India, very robust, best of the class, and yet very cost effective. And we have implemented this big project during COVID times when traveling was a constraint and timelines were tight for us. Today, I'm not only proud of my team who has rolled out this project completely customized for KFCA, but I'm also proud as an Indian woman who has achieved success in a domain which is not considered to be women-centric. I often feel that people have a preconceived notion about the technology sector, that it is dominated by the male gender. Let me burst this myth today. The Indian Space Research Organization has delivered 109 spacecraft missions, and their latest project, Chandrayaan-2, had 2 Indian women scientists spearheading this mission. And NASSCOM, the powerful trade body representing India's $167 billion IT BPM industry head, Biocon, which has the net worth of $870 million, its founder, they are women. And now, I want to tell you my story because I believe it represents the story of large number of women in my country. I have often noticed that when I enter a room for a business negotiation, more often than not, where there are only men at the other side of the table, their first reaction is incredulity, followed by a silent, no confidence motion. They don't speak it. I can see it on their faces. So I have to double the effort to swing that deal. I have to prepare harder, have all the answers, show no vulnerabilities, and establish my credentials very, very strongly. Because of this, I must admit, I have learnt a lot and I have become very confident. The silver lining is that this kind of preparation has resulted in my business growing very well. I think I've become a toughie because I'm a small town girl who had to battle with all the disadvantages that one has to face coming from a small town. Economic self-sufficiency and empowerment became a very powerful power motivation for me. It has made me what I am today. I usually say that women don't fail. And in these extraordinary times of COVID as well, women have ably demonstrated this by successfully juggling between household chores and demands from their job or business. Thanks to these extraordinary times, we have learned to use technology to connect better. We have learned to save time, money, and energy as never before. We have learned how resilient we are. My advice to the women next is to know clearly what you want. Build relationships, because that's the most important thing, building relationships. Connect with thought leaders. Be prepared to venture out of your comfort zone. Be ruthless, be ambitious, and be the best person for a job that you're aiming for. I must state explicitly that there are several initiatives in India which are looking at ensuring women participation in workforce and ensure that this major chunk of 49% of total population, which are women, is not left out. We have to involve them. We have to include them. And there are several initiatives that government is looking at. And rightfully now, in FICCI and FICCI Ladies Organization, we have initiated an initiative called Empowering the Greater 50% campaign, which is there to enhance the entrepreneurial and decision-making skills of women from all walks of life. Under the Greater 50, our interventions for women range from mentoring to skill training to enterprise development, policy advocacy and strategic alliances to training for women on corporate boards and personality and emotional development, among others. This is what we suggest next we do in this region of the world. Increase the role of women in economic activity. Why? Because we all know that financially independent women in any part of the world is the catalyst for the empowerment of other women. I usually say that it is very important for a woman to keep her hand like this and not like this. That's her empowerment. We also propose equally to promote mutual cooperation in cultural trade. We have done it, and we extend our sincere intent of partnership to do it together now in this region of GCC. Let's sign the mutual agreements on this cooperation at the earliest opportunity, and we will look forward to it. Thank you so much. Namaste.
What an inspirational speech, madam. Thank you very much for enlightening the women in this GCC region, with you being the champion of a women entrepreneur in India. Thank you very much. We now move on to Nada Basam, CEO, the Seed platform from Oman. She is joining us virtually from Oman. On the screen, please.
Hello, welcome. Hope you can hear me.
Absolutely, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. I would first like to thank you for giving me the time of the day to speak now here in this conference. Excellencies and distinguished guests. I am here from Oman, and as an entrepreneur and Omani woman from Oman, we've been working actually and hand by hand and collaborating with our fellow men in various sectors. And recently, more and more women are joining the entrepreneurship field, let's say, and they're becoming business owners, which we are very proud of. Women are involved in technology, they're involved in IT, in businesses, in trading, in handicrafts, so many fields, and we praise them for that. So today I'm here on behalf of our company, Taysir Platform, which has actually worked with women side by side and to bring up their businesses and to develop their products. So we have worked with local women across Oman, from the north to the south, on raising the level and upgrading their products in terms of standardization, make it ready for export. Also, the packaging, the way it's presented, just to make it easier for them to penetrate the local market, regional and international market. And I know a lot of collaboration has been happening between like Oman and India, and the GCC market are actually one hand market. We depend on each other, and we work together for years and 1,000 years to go. So I think continuing this let's say track or path, we have to utilize these kind of opportunities and platforms, and to join hands and to create more opportunities for our people and to your people as well. So coming to that, empowerment of women, empowerment of women in the field of the manufacturing, the field of business, and producing actually a lot of let's say items. Either they are food items, cosmetic, natural items. We've been in a lot of fields actually, which are representing our culture, coming from our environment, which has a distinguished, let's say, a distinguished factor to it, bringing new products to the market inspired by the frankincense, our frankincense, and our pavilion. Whoever visited the pavilion is inspired by the frankincense tree. A lot of things has been developed around this tree, and we actually believe this is the tree that has to be taken to space. So women has been involved in this much and much more. Also the perfume industry, the incenses, the dates and the food, a lot of things are been developed by Omani women, now meeting the standards and prepared for the market. So we have joined the hands with our Commissioning General office, and we have worked with them before the Expo has started, actually a year back, or maybe a year and a half back, with our supporters from the private sector and our partners from the government authorities, which are concerned with empowerment of women, and entrepreneurship, SMEs sector. And we have worked to select and handpick each of are showing at a Luban shop, which is the Oman Pavilion. And we are, we have worked especially with women products to bring them up to expose to come here and to be present today at this conference, and we would like to thank you for this opportunity. Now speaking about this, as I was explaining with the cosmetic products, the souvenir industry, and all of that, which are representing our environment, representing our culture, and we would like to invite you here today to come and visit us at the pavilion and to see our Luban shop, which has a lot of opportunities for franchising, for business opportunities, and for trading between all our countries. And the other way back, like Oman is welcoming the investors from all over the world. Now more than ever, we have more encouraging laws, and process is much easier now. And Oman is working towards the diversity of the economy. And join there. Which will further support the sustainability of business. So we're actually implementing what Expo is all about, is to create the opportunities for the local communities and to create and to achieve sustainability for those type of businesses. So please. And thank you very much on behalf of our Oman Pavilion and on behalf of our local businesses and SMEs, and take the time to commit us. Their team is there. There'll be a big support for any inquiries, for any even souvenirs, just to take a souvenir with you from Oman and from Oman Pavilion. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, madam. That was really encouraging to hear you. The entrepreneurship that is being developed by you and your company. We are now turning to that moment we have all been waiting for. I invite Dr. Aman Puri, Consul General of India, to give his special interventions. Dr. Aman Puri.
Namaskar. Assalamu alaikum. A very good evening to all of you. Excellencies, distinguished guests, heads of delegations of various GCC countries, my colleagues in the ministry, our friends joining virtually, the chair, FICCI India Arab Council, Mr. Vikramjit Sahni, co-chair, Dr. Siddiq Ahmed, all the distinguished speakers. It's a real pleasure for me to be joining all of you here at this very important conference, the India-GCC Business Conference. And I must say that I truly believe that India-GCC relationship is at an inflection point. Just to give an example, between India and UAE, our pre-COVID levels of bilateral trade was about $60 billion, and we are aspiring to take it to $100 billion by 2025. On the investment front, both governments are committed to facilitating investment of up to $75 billion from the UAE into India. And I believe similar opportunities exist between India and all GCC countries. My colleague, our Joint Secretary Gulf, Mr. Vipul, has given a very comprehensive brief on the India-GCC relationship, and therefore I would not like to be repetitive, but briefly I'd like to share a few of the ideas. I truly believe that the UAE has shown enormous resilience and been able to bring all of us together in these very trying and challenging times. And I think on behalf of all of you, I think collectively we can applaud and congratulate the United Arab Emirates for bringing us together here at Expo 2020 Dubai. It is a testament of human resilience, and we must use this opportunity to drive recovery how to take the economy forward, how to use innovation, creativity, knowledge, and the networks to be able to drive productivity, bring in efficiencies, so that we can bring welfare to the citizens of India, GCC, and the global community. Here at the India Pavilion, which is one of the largest pavilions, one of the very few legacy pavilions, signifying the deep bond between India and the UAE, we are very fortunate that we are able to make it a very vibrant platform. And today evening's event is one of those illustrations where we have our friends from the GCC countries and our speakers from India exploring ways and means of finding opportunities together. To give a few examples of what we've been able to achieve as the India Pavilion here during our participation in the last 1 month. We have this very unique platform called the India Innovation Hub, which is an opportunity, a mobile platform for us to bring some of the young, bright minds from India to showcase their innovation. India, as you know, is the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, and we aspire to bring upwards of 500 startups over the 6 months period of our participation at the Expo 2020 Dubai. And I believe that we must use this opportunity to connect the young, bright minds from GCC with their Indian counterparts, so that together they can co-create the innovation and the disruption which all of us need. We need to create those ideas so that we can collectively address global challenges. And it's very important to use technology to drive that growth. Of course, we had heard about the Indian unicorn. It's very interesting. And this year alone, we expect to create 30 unicorns. What is very interesting is that this reflects and of young have hunger in the belly to make a difference. I think those ideas can truly benefit the world. India, which hosts 8% of the world population, must make its rightful contribution to innovation and to address global challenges. And I'm very glad that our young people are doing all the very best in that endeavor. We also saw in the last month how the government of Dubai signed an agreement with the government of Jammu and Kashmir to facilitate investments into real estate, logistics, IT parks, super specialty hospitals, and other infrastructure projects, for example, in the hospitality sector. I think this signifies the huge opportunity which is available in places like Jammu and Kashmir, which have not seen development in the past few decades like seen in the other parts of India. And I think this is a huge opportunity for other GCC investors and businesses. We saw the direct connectivity between Srinagar and Sharjah, which was started again in October. And when we were talking about the opportunity for the GCC capital, GCC funds to look at Indian innovation and to co-create innovation and to fast track that process, we realized that some of the investment companies here do not have a physical presence in India. And we've all heard, we all fully appreciate the value of meeting someone face to face, having a direct one-on-one connection, and understanding your customer, understanding the social fabric, and doing much better in terms of identifying the right partners for yourself. So in that respect, in the third week of October, when Karnataka was the focus state, and we had several Indian unicorns who were talking about how Bengaluru has become the capital of the startup ecosystem of India, how it is home to 40% of India's unicorns. One of the investment firms based here in the UAE, who incidentally has a co-CEO from Bahrain, they announced, and that is Gulf Islamic Investments, they announced that they will be setting up their office in Bengaluru so that they are closer to the innovators, they are closer to those companies in whom they would potentially invest. And of course, they did commit a significant increase in their investments into India, something which they've been very proud of and that they've been benefiting in the last few years. So I think these are some of the illustrations I wanted to just share with you to mention how we are using the India Pavilion as a vibrant platform to bring people together. And collectively, I think all of us must do our very best to ensure that we are able to use this opportunity of Expo 2020 Dubai to drive economic growth, economic recovery, and revival. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Puri. I think he has given us a glimpse of how vibrant we have been in our India Pavilion and what we have been able to achieve in this last 1 month. We now move on to Mr. Abdullah Al Naomi, the commercial attaché to India, who joins us virtually from Abu Dhabi. On the screen, please.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم. Good afternoon, Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I would like to take a moment to thank Fiki on behalf of His Excellency Dr. Ahmed Al-Banna, UAE Ambassador to India, who unfortunately could not join us today due to a last-minute exigency. Much of the world has changed since COVID-19 pandemic began. We are an uncharted territory and need new navigation tools to collectively deal with possibly the worst pandemic of the century. As I gather my thoughts and reflect on the year that went by, I believe it would be suitable to say that the partnership between the GCC countries and India has in fact strengthened over the last 20 months or so. Our relations are built on common goals, values, and a sense of shared history. The GCC countries have over the years emerged as India's leading partner of choice for securing its energy needs. India meets 83% of its oil needs through imports and is the world's third largest oil consumer. Energy, thus, is an important strategic subject for India. In the financial year of 2020-2021, India imported about 40% of its crude oil from the 6 GCC countries. Speaking specifically, the UAE has been of the biggest partners in the hydrocarbon space. Renewable energy is yet another sector which represents endless opportunities for partnerships between the region and India. In terms of trade, 2 of India's top 5 trading partners, the UAE and Saudi, are in the Gulf region. Speaking specifically, in the financial year of 2020-2021, the UAE alone accounted for about 60% of India's overall exports to the GCC countries. 45% of India's imports from these countries and about 50% of India's overall trade with the GCC countries. In terms of investments, the UAE alone accounts for about 73% of these cumulative FDI equity flows from the GCC countries to India. I'm sure these numbers speak volumes of our confidence in India's growth story. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now shift our focus on women entrepreneurship and empowerment, a subject we strongly support. Today, Emirati women in the UAE hold 2/3 of public sector jobs. Over a quarter of cabinet-level minister roles in the UAE are held by women. In terms of women entrepreneurship in 2020, the UAE had the highest number of women on the Forbes 100 most powerful Arab businesswomen, with 23 Emirati women on the list. Her Excellency Reem Al-Hashimi, who serves as the Managing Director of Dubai Expo, also exemplifies the power of Emirati women. It is our personal belief that there are endless opportunities for mutual collaboration in the realm of women entrepreneurship between the GCC and India. Lastly, I would like to share my thoughts on building business technology corridors between the GCC and India. I am certain that you would agree with me that technologies such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, and digital platforms have the potential to drive new age of trade. Control in fighting fraud in trade, from digitalizing commodities trading and addressing fraud in the system to creating efficient supply chain management system. The UAE, the country of many firsts, our leadership recognized the immense importance of technology, and in October 2017, the UAE government launched the UAE Strategy for Artificial Intelligence. India's expertise in IT and IT-enabled service, along with UAE's expertise in AI, blockchain technology, and the fourth industrial revolution, provides a complementary and enabling environment for further collaboration. From women entrepreneurs to technology sharing, India's robust relations with the Gulf are poised to grow even further. Unprecedented times call for exceptional measures, but at the same time, also present unparalleled opportunities for mutual cooperation. With several factors contributing to the rediscovery of the GCC-India relationship, I firmly believe that we are in for interesting times ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdullah, for drawing the entire campus of our engagement between India and the GCC. Before we come to the concluding remarks by Dr. Siddiq Ahmed, I would like to recognize the presence of one of the major PSUs, the government companies in India, the Telecommunication Consultants India Limited, who are visiting us here in the India Pavilion as a part of our delegation. And we have the Director Technical among with us. They are again trying to rejuvenate themselves and their presence in the Gulf. May I request the person to please reach out the mic to the Director Technical, and I request him to say a few words.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Ghosh, Fiki, and the great conference. I am really privileged to be given a chance to speak on this August forum. I am very happy to hear the various deliveries from my friends and the dignitaries. And on this behalf, again, I would like to say on behalf of TCL, we are a Government of India company. And we have been present in the GCC countries for long, whether it is Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, or it is Kuwait, or it is Oman. Our presence have been for long we have been there, providing telecom services, telecom consultancy, and from concept to commissioning. In KSA, like we have been working for Daviyat from Saudi Telecom, Mobili, and many other organizations for long. We have also got about 500 plus people in our Saudi Arabia office. Similarly, in Kuwait, we have been working for long, for about 4 decades. And in Kuwait, rehabilitation, TCL as a telecom company, Government of India telecom company, we have been putting our best efforts with our skilled manpower to have the telecommunication services to be provided in the most satisfactory manner. And for that matter, we got awards from Government of Kuwait and Kingdom of Saudi Arabia also. And I'm really thrilled to see that in the times to come, again, as a part of this India-GCC Business Conference, we may like to put up more efforts to contribute and to put our best contribution for the development in this area. And we look forward for the support of FICCI to take it further to the bigger heights. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. May I now request Dr. Siddiq Ahmed to come over to deliver the concluding remarks and close the event. Before we physically close it, we will request all our speakers to come on the stage to have a photo opportunity. Dr. Siddiq Ahmed is the co-chair. He leads the India Arab FICCI Arab Council along with Mr. Vikramjit Sani. He is also the part of our National Executive Committee and the chairman of IRAM Group based out of Al Khobar in Saudi Arabia. Dr. Siddiq Ahmed.
Thank you, Gautam. Thank you, Fiki. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. A warm good evening and Assalamu alaikum. I would like to thank you all for joining us today evening for the India-GCC Business Conference. And it is my privilege as a co-chair of FICCI India Arab Council to share the concluding remarks. First of all, I want to thank you, Vikram Shenoy, the FICCI Chairman, Arab India, His Excellency Vibul, Joint Secretary of Gulf Ministry of MAE, Government of India, our best leader of Dubai, His Excellency Dr. Amin Puri, Consul General Dubai, Mr. Abdullah Al-Basha Al-Nomain Al-Naimi, Commercial Attaché to India, UAE, honorable heads of mission of India and GCC countries present in the meeting today, Ms. Harjinder Kaur Talwar, MD and CEO of Vision, especially talk about Ladies Vibrant, India Private Limited, and member National Board of MSME, Ministry of MSME, former president of FICCI Leads Ladies Organization. We work very closely with you. Mr. Dilip Sonai, Secretary General FICCI, and Mr. Manish Shangal, Deputy Secretary General in FICCI. Dubai Expo, it is truly a great showcase of human brilliance and achievement. I salute the visionaries of Dubai Expo 2020 and the rulers of United Arab Emirates for this impressive global platform. Also, the Government of India for setting up a massive 4-floor pavilion that promises to attract one and all with a brilliant mix of Ayurveda, yoga, space program, and it is fast growing, approximately, if I don't make mistake, $2.5 trillion economy in coming years. We take this opportunity to thank His Excellency Vipul, Joint Secretary of Government of India, sharing his vision statement. It was truly inspiring and encouraging at this point of time. It was also pleasure to hear His Excellency Abdullah Al-Basha Al-Naimi, commercial attaché to India, who has been part of several important dialogues to frame the strategic economic partnership between the two countries, India and UAE. We truly value your motivational speech and sharing your valuable thoughts. Similarly, it is our pleasure to thank the honored speakers from India and GCC to share their ideas and views on the opportunities for mutually building business technology corridors between India and GCC in consideration of the long and healthy diplomatic relation between the countries. Also, we are glad to that Tech Mahindra and Berger Paints, and I'm sure about it, Asian Paints, part of, the same groups. The two corporate giants of India have been with us today. Madam Harjinder Kaur Talwar, MD and CEO, Vision India Private Limited members, National Board MSc, Ministry of MSEM, former President FICCI Ladies Organization, has always been an ideal and inspiration of our new women leaders, and I am sure that with her plans of engagements in the GCC region shall promote greater business collaboration between the women business of India and GCC. Thank you, ma'am. We thank you, ma'am, for the esteemed presence for this event today. We can observe the digital ecosystem in almost every sector of the economy. The Tech Mahindra gentleman asked everyone put their hand because of everyone in part of technology nowadays. So I'm sure that India experience in developing a successful business and startup situation provide immense scope of collaborate and cooperate to the growth and prosper together in these days to come. We also take this opportunity to thank you all our partners, Tech Mahindra, Berger Paints and Vision India for supporting this important initiative. Before concluding, I am just happy to inform you that our company as a IRAM group work in almost all the GCC and especially in manufacturing and nearly around 40 different vertical including sanitation, power electronics. We are the first sanitation sustainability toilet manufactured in India, and now I believe we have installed in largest toilet in Kuwait, Qatar and some other countries, which is self-sustainability products. Nearly we have around 9,000 employees working in the GCC, more than 60% are working in Saudi Arabia. And I heard from you as a Saudi speaker, you says that you are short and you don't want to speak high more and you want to short and speak. But I just want to remind you that Saudi Arabia is the largest country in GCC, in the size-wise, land size, and including the size of the population. With this, we conclude the program and invite all the participants for refreshment at Taj Terrace area. Wishing all the pleasant day. Jai Hind. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. May I request all the speakers and Honorable CG to please come on the stage for a group photograph. Ma'am, please come. Sir.
Yeah.
To the Taj Terrace on the adjacent building for some refreshments.